we have with us Colonel Gaurav Dimri. Sir is an ex-NDA, and then he served with the Armored Regiment. He commanded his regiment, which is the 43 Armor. And after finishing his command, Sir chose to seek a voluntary retirement, and then did an MBA in Human Resources from the prestigious Management Development Institute, Gurgaon. After that, Sir has been an HR leader, having worked initially with the Trident Group of companies and now has head HR for Sharda Group of companies. We had a conversation with him in the part one of understanding the functional role of corporate HR, wherein we broadly touched upon the aspects of corporate HR. And now we have again requested Sir to come and kind of help us understand, take a deeper dive into the HR function and how professionals who are looking to be or people who are wanting to be HR professionals, how they can kind of approach it and what are the internal workings of a typical HR department. So welcome again, Gaurav sir. Thanks for sparing your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
तो सर पिछले वाले
Pleasure to be part of your, sir.
कई बार ऐसा नहीं लगता होगा ऑन अ ह्यूमन लेवल और से ऑन अ पर्सनल लेवल कि यार इसको जाने दें, बट देन when you look at the organizational perspective and maybe for the environment, so you have to take the strictest of the action. So how do you balance that thing?
No, I think again, absolutely a relevant question. Especially sometimes it happens that the complaint against an employee is validated, the charges against him are validated. Depending on the nature of the complaint, it may happen that an employee is maybe given a benefit of being to improve his conduct, or maybe to given a second chance. However, in terms of when it comes to ethical aspects, moral aspects, financial irregularity aspects, especially at middle and senior level management level, or in terms of making places safe and secure for female employees, the scope of giving a second chance is very, very limited. So, the nature of the complaint and the culpability of the individual, his seniority, whether an example has to be set, often plays a very decisive part.
Yeah, obviously.
But by and large, the organizations tend to keep the internal organization environment healthy, conducive, and to maintain the confidence of the workforce in the core values of the organization. That remains the driving factor. We may even change the location of the employee, transfer him in case the gravity of the offense is not there, or it is an unintended offense which happened. The past record of the employee also plays a role. So, but by and large, the prime focus is to maintain the sanctity of the organizational environment and the business and the climate of the organization.
Right. Sir, आपने कहा that HR is the heart of the organization. Now, to understand how healthy my heart is, I have certain parameters. What's the heart rate? How is the blood pressure, etc., etc. Similarly, what are those key performance matrices on which an HR department's performance is usually measured?
So, as I said, you're right that to measure the performance of the heart, a series of attributes are available. There will be certain attributes which will say everything is green, everything is fine, and certain things that this is beyond the acceptable parameter. So we need to take certain action. Similarly, HR, although there are a lot of intangibles which come into the functioning and assessment of HR functioning. Unlike marketing, where it is black and white, production, it is black and white. If you need to produce X amount, anything above or less is absolutely clear. So, but in HR, because of the sheer nature of work, a number of intangibles come. However, still, largely in the organizations, whether manufacturing or non-manufacturing or service sector, largely one is able to have a set of matrices which can give you the health of the heart. Now, as I said, it's a womb to tomb story. The entry point itself, that what is the time taken to hire fill up a position, That gives one indicator for the talent acquisition part. What is the turnaround time? Have we adhered to the turnaround time once the position felt vacant or a new position got created? In how much time frame that position got filled? It can be a very effective measure of the performance is attrition rate. How many employees have left? What are the reasons for those employees to leave? Even the assessment of that, the causes of attrition, the retention rate. You have the grievances. How many grievances were raised, complaints were raised, and also whether how many complaints were raised which got addressed within the acceptable or given turnaround time. Absenteeism, abscondment, things like overtime. OT is also a measure of one of the matrices of HR in many organizations because it has a direct bearing on cost. That why did the overtime costs have gone up? What are the, and above all, one of the biggest, I would say, most significant matrices of measuring the HR performance is the manpower cost. What is the manpower cost and the what we call is the PCR, the ratio between the manpower cost and the revenue generated, personal cost ratio, to revenue ratio. So then you have the PPP, the per person productivity. What that gives you an outcome of what are the skill gaps. If an employee is required to produce 100 items in an 8-hour shift, the system will capture that it is 90 or 120. So if an employee has been hired for a particular at a particular skill level and is to produce a certain number of items in that particular shift, if he is producing less and if the machinery is working fine, if there is no other hindrance in that worker's performance, what is impacting his mind and his body functions that he's not able to give that desired outcomes while out of 100, 80 other employees are giving that output. So the HR has to get into that. Is it a skill gap? If not a skill gap, what is impacting his mind? Is something playing on him? Is his health not proper? So that way, a number of matrices, as I said, they play a very crucial role in monitoring the performance of the HR.
You kind of trying to put numbers to an intangible function by so that you're able to measure the performance and then accordingly rate your own internal workings and things like that. That's very encouraging. My last question for this particular conversation would be, sir, where do you see HR evolving in the next 5, 10, 20 odd years with three particular parameters? One, we are expanding as an economy. So as a result, our organizations are going to grow big. So one is that expansion of economy and as a result, bigger organization. Second, the workforce is continuously getting diverse. And it's not just now the women who are entering the workforce, their numbers are increasing, and we also now have the differently abled, we have veterans, we have um, people with different sexual orientations. Everyone needs to be now incorporated. And third, people are getting more and more politically correct and aware because of social media and so how do you think this is going to impact the organizations and what role is HR going to play in this evolution?
So that's again a very, very relevant question. And in this aspect, I would say that one turning point which came in the functioning of HR to redefine and redesign itself was when COVID happened. Because there was a sudden stoppage, and then instead of a gradual start, a number of industries, which were continuous process industries, had a very short notice to restart. So you had a situation where things stopped suddenly, and you had to start in a very, very minimal time frame. So, and these kinds of crisis situations, this kind of uncertainty would happen in future also. So, one aspect of it is that the HR has to prepare itself both in terms of processes, SOPs, and mindset for the uncertain work environment which may happen. Two, as you very rightly said, the work is going to become extremely diverse. It's already happening. And above all, while in some sectors, there's going to be a relocation of the workforce in terms of move to remote working. Maybe it may be even the remote working may not be confined to that particular city, region, or state. Maybe it will go. The remote working may happen from different parts of the world, depending on the talent. That's what technology will offer us. So that enhances again the mindset and the scope of the HR and the talent management in terms of managing this kind of diverse workforce. A large number of functions, I personally feel, most of them post-COVID especially, are going to get outsourced from the from that aspect of permanent employee who's going to work till 60 with an organization. It will move to more of a contractual workforce or a gig workforce or gig economy, what we are looking at, less committed workforce. Gone are the days when the house of Tatas at Tata Nagar, where the employee would come in and retire from there, and then his second generation would join in. And uh, the organizations have to prepare in terms of the diversity, as you rightly brought out, in terms of not only gender, but in terms of their orientation, in terms of more space at the workplace and acceptance, and prepare the organization and workforce for that. And above all, you see, the organizations, and even HR, all functions of the organizations are now more or less going to be data driven. The whole decision making is going to become data driven. So the organization has to reinvent itself. The decision makers have to reinvent themselves to undertake what is called decision based, data based decision making. And in this aspect, I mean, we're already seeing it, the incorporation of AI. It's going to be an all pervasive aspect of artificial intelligence coming into various functions of manufacturing or non-manufacturing sector. Even machine learning into terms of learning and development and training and assessment activities. Uh, right now, we've already moved on to aspects of talent acquisition being automated. The whole job posting, sifting through the various profiles received, shortlisting of candidates, scheduling of interviews, filling up of that interview assessment sheet, and right up till onboarding in a number of organizations already automated. So that is already happening. The technology, the automated application tracking systems are already working. And now, especially, and it's going to move to PMS. It's going to move to even employee engagement experience is going to is sure going to be automated. The companies have come up with their own apps, internal apps for employee engagement. So, whole thing is going to be totally focused on technology. And as you said, a gig workforce, geographically, culturally diverse workforce, which needs to be integrated and aligned with business needs by the heart of the business, which is the HR. So that the next
Yes.
15 or 20 years are going to be very interesting. And a person who does not understand the importance of technology into these functions, which are primarily human oriented and with manual interventions, he will have to redesign himself and acquire these facets.
So that means HR has a task cut out, and they are looking at more complexity in next 15, 10, 20 odd years. So you need people with much higher skills in being able to interact with other human beings, still finding solutions which are broadly acceptable and solve maximum of the problems, if not 100%, and keep all stakeholders in kind of focus towards the business goals while also satisfying the individual requirements.
Absolutely. And the whole the HR strategy gets revamped. I mean, what was manual processes driven by manual interventions have, although it's been gradual now, but next 5 years, it's going to be very fast change. I mean, I would not say 15 to 20 years. I would say next 5 to 10 years, the pace of those changes and incorporation of technology is going to be enormous. It's already happening. I mean, we are gradually moving. where the HR processes are going to be driven by technology, driven by artificial intelligence, driven by data, driven by, and so you need people not only to understand that technology, implement that technology, orient that technology to organizational requirements, business rules and needs, but also interpret the data, analysis of what emerges out of utilizing that technology. What was earlier work requiring 8, 10, 12 hours of sifting through printouts and sheets going to be so there are dashboards which are available which give you the whole data of a particular sheet of a shift of 3,000 employees. So you need that mind also has to now reorient to understand those facets of HR in that time framework, and that will impact the decision making and all other processes of HR.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for having provided us this guidance. I believe that people who are looking to be HR professionals at any seniority or at any age, they should get some perspective and they contribute to the workings of the corporate and contribute in nation building. I'm thankful for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.